Okay. Hi. So yeah, I'm Emma O'Brien. I'm an occupational therapist at the Memory Technology Library in Clonmel, and now the new resource room in Cork. Um, just to set just a bit about the background. So the Technology Library was established as a pilot project, part of the 5 steps to living well with dementia in South Tipperary. And the Memory Technology Library was to be a very practical, problem solving space where people could loan out some technologies that would support simple things like orientation or using simple remote controls. But it has grown enormously into having a very large resource room of activities as well. And so, like Sinead was saying, there's now 25 memory technology resource rooms throughout the country. And the Memory Technology Library stays as the central hub really for disseminating any new information on technologies and activities. So, so that's the intro. So the at-home activities booklet was really something I had wanted to create for a long time. I noticed in the Memory Technology Library, we have one room dedicated to activity ideas, sensory engagement ideas, apps, different things that can support meaningful engagement. And I had found in the last few years, this room really was the focal point for many family members who would come in. It was the opportunity to look through what's available, to really understand the benefits of engagement. So I'd always been meaning to put together a little handout of ideas of activities. And then when COVID struck and we had to reduce our service, going into people's home, which is another aspect of the Memory Technology Library, I was looking at having a handout just to give to families of ideas of activities. And it's really just a booklet of ideas. So it was really created in response to the COVID-19. Many people who would have been going to the day centres or had family carers, support workers coming in, this had all been reduced. So the booklet was to provide some sense of ideas for activity within the home that are already available, which would give ultimately some routine and structure to the day. And then the lack of opportunity really for engagement. So it was really just to give the ideas to the family members and people with dementia. So that's the front of the book, and in creating it for my own service, Fiona Foley from the Dementia Office had heard that this was being put together, and she asked if they could support its publication and creating it in its design, and then of course being able to get it into print and then circulate throughout the country. So that's where we worked together then on making it a national resource for family carers. So if we look at meaningful engagement, meaningful activities, it's fundamental to occupational therapy. It's essential to overall well-being and purpose. And of course, OTs in particular are well placed because this is part of our profession, that activity, that engagement, all assists in the person's overall well-being. So any opportunity where OTs can help to continue engagement independently or supported is fundamental to our profession. And then dementia and engagement. So as dementia progresses, it does become challenging to continue engagement either independently or needing support in doing. Often issues around initiating an activity or sequencing that activity. So if an activity has quite a lot of process and steps in it, this can become challenging. And then the endurance may not be as it once was, but it's good to be mindful of these issues, because then we can look at ways to overcome the initiating, the sequencing, the endurance and things like that. But the ultimate thing from being engaged in activity is that it has this therapeutic value. And I'll talk through some of those there. So the challenges are important to recognize. So the initiating, the person may not be able to identify that the activity they want to do. So either having options available, and giving, having things even in sight and opportunity. So instead of having maybe the activity tucked away in a press, you might have them out and about so that they prompt the person to see the activity and then to start the activity. Again, some of the activities will require setup and support and setup, and considering what you require to set up. So you might be looking also at the environment, and is there a suitable space to work in? Are there noises going off in the background that might cause distraction? Is the table height appropriate, or is the equipment needed available to the person? So you're just trying to look at all of the different things that you might need to support the person engaging. And then sequencing, again, you might think an activity is very simple, but actually there's probably a few additional steps that you must account for. Sometimes it's the break in one of these in one step, it's missing one step in the whole process that can negatively impact engaging in the activity. So I'll talk through them more specifically as I look through the activities. And then endurance, the 10 minutes, though small, might be just enough for somebody to get some of the benefits. Shorter blocks throughout the day, different times of the day when people have more attention. Some people are better in the morning, some better in the afternoon. So just being mindful that it doesn't need to be a whole hour. It could just be short spurts every now and then. So the benefits then of meaningful engagement are the list here: providing and promoting stimulation. Promoting opportunity for achievement is so important, that you have that throughout your day, that you have achieved something, that you are stimulated. It promotes self-esteem, reassures self-identity. It can enhance feelings of well-being, and it can prevent boredom. And especially during the cocooning and lockdown, days become very long. Every day becomes similar and rolls into one. So it even helps with some sense of orientating to the time of day. So adapting, so again, like I said, looking at things like the environment or the activity, breaking it down, adapting it to suit the person. The booklet really is just a collection of ideas. There's some information under certain things, such as cooking, about ways to adapt that to still experience the cooking activity, but in a different level. You're looking at ways, the challenges that are often encountered again to optimum engagement, and that is things like environment, accessibility, and other supports that are needed. So we'll look at what the following section of the booklet is. So it's broken into different categories. If you haven't seen it, it is household activities, games and puzzles, arts, crafts, reminiscence, sensory engagement. There are a list of apps and websites with further useful resources. And then there's a little bit on physical activity as well. So I'm going to talk through each section and give an idea of what are the activities within it. So household activities, they're not for everyone, but they are important to maintain roles and responsibilities in the house. This is really important for a sense of belonging, of ownership, of identity, and contributing, to your home and household. Often, again, things can be taken away, roles and responsibilities. So it's trying to find ways of introducing them, but maybe at a more adapted level. And it is important, they're not for everyone. So, if it wasn't your role previously, I wouldn't be introducing some of these activities unless they were ones that were once enjoyed or important to you. So the section then looks at things like baking and cooking and laundry and cleaning and gardening. The baking and cooking, that's quite nice. That has, it's an important role for many people. It's in the booklet, it has different levels of engagement, which there will be. So you might just need ever so slightly some support in setting up the activity, ensuring you have everything that you need, and maybe that's the level of support required. For people more progressive, it might be that you're supporting them to do the activity. So you might be asking them to have measurements, or to roll the dough, or whatever it might be. So there's ideas there for different levels of engagement. It does offer a really nice sensory experience, the smells, the tactile, and then this can evoke really fond memories. And it is really important to encourage conversation that are reminiscent, and that look back on days of when the person would have baked a lot in their own home or their own family. And then laundry and cleaning, again, not for everyone, but I know from my own experience, there would be ironing was a very important role for my grandmother, for instance, and she would have taken great pride in that. So, you know, you can continue the activity. It might just need some support setting up, and maybe somebody there, or even if it's just to fold the pillowcases or something before, but looking at ways. So the book gives some ideas on that, and ideas of adapting it. And again, this can promote conversation. Some things around cleaning, you could have a nice task where you have all the photo frames with images in them, and you know, you sit down at the table, and it's an opportunity to polish them, and maybe have some conversations of the olden days, or whatever the image might have in it. And then gardening is a really nice activity. It's, you know, it provides great sensory engagement opportunity, tactile. It can be simply adapted, and it can be brought indoors even, and at the table. So there's some ideas again given on that. And then some of the stimulating activities. So it's important to challenge the brain, to keep it working, to keep it at an optimum level of engagement. The right amount of challenge is really important. So too much of challenge where the activity is not achievable will cause frustration and disappointment. And then too little will lessen the benefits of challenging the brain. So you're trying to find the right fit and the right level of engagement. And to be mindful that this can change over time as well. So there are some great adapted games available for people with visual and perceptual problems also. So some of the games and puzzles that are there, there's a range of stimulating activities available. There's some really good board games that you already have at home. There are some nice jigsaws. There are card games in it, and ideas for card games. There's also links to download, such as crosswords and word searches. And then there are different levels available that you can get. And you can get some really nice books in Eason's or any other stationery stores. Jigsaws have become very popular over the pandemic lock-in time. But again, you're mindful of the number of pieces in the jigsaw. And then there are also links on where these can be purchased. So these provide opportunity for enjoyment and challenge the person. They can be done together as a family, so it gives them really good social engagement opportunity as well. And then, like I said, the adapted and simplified versions that are available, you'll see in the booklet jigsaws that are created by Active Minds, which is a UK company, and they do a lot of products specifically for people with dementia. So really considering the issues that, you know, if we look at, say, Snakes and Ladders as a board game to do with family, this can be quite busy and challenging to know which direction to go. So they have made simplified versions. Similar with the jigsaws, they have really nice meaningful images, but at 63 pieces instead of it being 500 pieces. So there's links in the booklet as well to all of these and where you can get them. And then some of the arts and crafts ideas. So there's definitely great therapeutic value in art and craft. again, it's not for everyone, but for people that would enjoy it, it's nice to look at ways to adapt an arts and craft activity, provide sensory engagement, it provides creativity, and it really provides this moment where a person can be focused on the task and become immersed in the moment. The ideas provided and links to the download, there's things like on homemade doughs, and there's also nice things like salt dough, and so this is quite nice. You can, the act of making it is a really nice therapeutic and tactile experience. And then of course you can put them in the oven and they can harden and then they can be painted. So some people would do a lot around decorations for the Christmas tree or anything really. You can be creative in that. The other links there are things on the mindfulness colouring and paint books, which are easily available now. And they really do offer people, from my experience now and feedback, people who would never have done the colouring are enjoying this chance just to sit down and focus on one painting or one colouring option. There are easy and adapted aqua paints as well that I have linked in there. There's other ideas like lace threading. There's some great websites like Vibes and Scribes and really easy lace threading that you can buy that aren't so expensive. Scrapbook making, anything that's creative. So that's some of the ideas that are in the booklet. And then the other elements really are around reminiscence, and this is a really important part. It's a really important activity actually for all of us, but definitely as dementia progresses, it is the older and fonder memories that provide this sense of place and sense of identity, and these are hard to pull to mind, but by creating some life story books or the rummage box or using images and photo albums, this allows recall a lot easier for people. So the life story books are really quite nice. You start, in the early years, where you were born, your family, your parents, where you lived, and you kind of work chronologically through your life. You're pulling out the good, fond memories, and you're mindful that there may be negative memories. So it is important that you know the person. But life story books needn't be anything you buy. They could be a simple scrapbook that you put an image in each page and a little blurb about who's who, and you can find images from the internet if it's a house that they grew up in another county. So it's a nice way, it's a really nice book to have to pull out if there's ever anxiety, or if the person is experiencing, uncertainty or like that, anxiety and wanting to possibly to go home. These are nice ways to root you back into, okay, yeah, this is familiar, this is who I am. And these are nice to have created around the house and have them visibly there as well. The rummage box is another nice idea. I recall doing work with family on a rummage box, and it's really nice. It was put together a lot of different things belonged to this gentleman that were familiar in his past from his work. So I think there was, a tool from what he did. I think he was a mechanic, as far as I can recall, it was mechanic. So, putting in stuff like that, images of his work, so any photographs, and anything interesting from his past. But a rummage box can be whatever you want it to be once it's important to the person. And then there are some fantastic local and national publications available. Local historical societies do really nice, often published books, and especially old images of their town. So these are really nice to use. Further on, there's a bit more around the links to these as well. So I'll show you directly where they are. Okay, sorry, now then over time. So then sensory engagement is really important. And again, at more advancing level, this might be the only way for achieving an activity. though we all need sensory engagement. So it's good to be aware of it. And for people with advancing dementia, it's the senses that they will use to engage in the activity. It can promote well-being, relaxation, and identity. So things like even just having music that was favoured by the person is really good to have available and have ready to play. There's some very easy music players as well for somebody who might be living on their own and finding it a challenge to put a CD in or to upload music. So there's links to all of that in the book. Tactile engagement, so again using things like hand massage. University of Limerick, the nursing department, I think there had put in, had created a nice video for family carers and carers around hand massage. And there is a link to that in the book as far as I know, yeah. But you could do nice things like a spa day, where it's, you know, maybe doing the hair or pedicure and different opportunities there. Sorry, I'm looking above. Sensory box is another thing that you can make. You know, add in different things that will promote sensory engagement. So it might be the old soaps that were used from childhood, or it could be things that are tactile. So even nice materials, soft, little. You could put together some, you know, shells or anything that might be of interest to the person. Fabrics are nice to put in as well. And then there's a huge range of sensory products available. It's not necessary to buy these. There are ideas once you see them. I think that you can start to think, well, look, we could use this instead. So there's a range of products available, and there are, the book has links then to all of these specific sites and some ideas for products if people are interested to purchase. And then the apps and websites. So I did a little bit for a while on apps, and they're changing all the time. There are newer ones coming out, but there are some nice brain training apps, and the booklet is divided into different sections. So the brain training is really nice. Elevate and Luminosity are really working on attention and concentration, and they're free. You download them, and each day you can do an activity. Typically at the beginning, when you first download, you're given you go through so that they can set a level based on how you did when you're setting it up. Then Hello Brain is really nice. It's from Trinity. It is really nice challenges every day. So you can download the app, and they will challenge you each day to complete an activity. So it might be something that's physical, that's brain training, that's socializing, that's a healthy eating or a healthy habit. So it's a really nice way to keep the brain healthy and to have a challenge each day. There are some great word searches and crosswords on that you can download as well. Some are very simple, some you can go harder and harder, and things like Sudoku. So if they're set at the right level, they can be a nice thing to pull out as well. Solitaire and Tetris are good and will suit some people, but and then there's also the jigsaws, and the jigsaw app is actually quite nice. It's best on a tablet, but it's another nice way. You can pick an image and then pick as many pieces as you want. So there's links to all of these in the booklet as well. And then there's apps and websites. So there's further apps and websites. So there's relaxation and cultural apps. There's, you know, coloring online. There's on apps. There's relaxation radio, which is something you could use in conjunction with doing a spa day or something. There's Nature Live. There's Google Arts and Culture, museum tours, and cultural websites. So it's really just ideas and links to different places. The Reminiscence apps, I really like the Irish Film Institute app. It's links to a lot of the old advertising, old promotional ads done, sent to the States or Board Fáilte. It has sections on 1916, I think, and different historical ones. So it's really quite a nice app. Similarly, the RT Archives, they have some nice downloads there as well. And then Google Street View is something I had used before, successfully with somebody where they weren't living anymore they were in a different county, so we could go onto Street View and go down where they would have grown up, or into Dublin City, you can go Street View. So this was interesting for some people, and it's good to be mindful of. And then the resource websites available are the Maria's Place is an Irish lady. That's a really interesting one, and huge amount of resources available on it that you can download. It does require, I think, a sign-in, but there is no charge. I think it's just more that they can email on any resources, but there's no bombardment of emails for sure. But it's really nice craft ideas, cooking ideas, gardening, brain training. Similar, the daily caring, it's a range of supports for family carers and has activity resources. Keeping busy is a good one. Also, some more free downloads, activity downloads. And then, of course, Engaging Dementia, their Reminiscence booklet. And Catherine Daly's another OT, and she's done some nice activity sheets, and there's links to hers also. And then I just wanted to also highlight that where I work in the South Tipperary in the dementia service, we have our own website, and in that website there's sections on the memory technology library. And in response to this book, I created a new section called Activities and Engagement Opportunities. And so this, if we can, I'm going to try and share just to show if there's time. So I can just show you this here now. Where am I? Maybe I can't. No, I don't have that up, but
Emma, would you like me to share?
If you want, you can. Yeah, sure. I'll just try and X this again. So the website has now a dedicated space called Activities and Engagement, and there's a good intro in terms of things to be considerate and mindful of. So things like endurance, like sequencing, like so that's it there. That's you can probably scroll down a bit. I don't think I can. So it just gives you some of the benefits of engagement, some things to be mindful of. And then it also has a link to the booklet if you wanted to download it. It has also a link to the weekly planner that was put together. And so this is like a schedule of events. And if you click into it, then it will, you click on the here, if that will open it. So if you scroll down, you can see this is just ideas, and of course, you know, not everyone's going to be doing morning, afternoon, and evening, but if you clicked on baking, for instance, you'll be taken to a link on a baking idea, or so this was done by the Dementia Office, this nice planner, but that's available, and it gives you ideas to different websites that would have supportive resources as well. But if you want to go back to the, so that's the planner that's in on the website. But if you go back to, yeah, so here, if you scroll down further, I have them broken up, and once you click on the games and puzzles or whichever it might be, yeah, you can click on that. Again, it goes through some of the things to be mindful of, and it has links to different where you can buy them. They're all active links to Active Minds, to Murray's, different places to purchase them. There's some nice personalized jigsaws and board games. So the website has further information and further considerations as and works well with the book. But yeah, okay. So I might. And oh yeah, and that's the booklet, which can be ordered as well for free, or you can download it from there. It's ordered through Health Promotions, but I've given my contact details at the end of the PowerPoint, and I'm happy to take any questions now, but I equally wanted to I'll just put my screen up there just to show you my details if you need. I'll just go down again to the end. So that's just my own contact details that I am happy to take a phone call, or you can email me if there's anything specific. The activities booklet is really, again, it's just an idea of ideas of activity. It's not going to be for everybody, and there'll be different levels of engagement ability, and so it's about adapting it to suit the person. But I am happy to take any phone calls as well, and to provide any more advice specifically and uniquely to you and the person with dementia. Okay, is that all right?
Thank you so much, Emma.
Okay.
Thanks a million. We have a couple of questions here. First of all, thank you so much. Gosh, there was so much in that, and so much work that went into it, and all of those links would be really, really helpful, I think. We have a question about technology and older people. So there were a good few links there and virtual resources. Would you have any thoughts on that, or any advice for people who might be unfamiliar with technology?
Oh yeah, you mean like the apps and the websites and accessing that? Yeah, so that is a challenge. That's and sometimes it has to be respected that if the person really was never familiar with them, it's going to be a very hard thing to try and support using. The apps really are there for, I suppose, in my mind, they're there for the person that can use the tablet or their smartphone, but they're mainly there for families and grandchildren or whomever it is to be able to put something on and to share as an engagement. I'm doing a piece myself on using technology and using tablets and smartphones. It's so unique to the person, but there are some, simplified ways of and accessibility ways of using your tablet. So if a person is already familiar, then you can make their screen actually in an easy mode. But really, I think if they need support in it, then that's there for families to be able to open up, to maybe put onto their screen if they can mirror it onto their TV, for instance, the IFI, or but it won't be for everyone. It's unique, yeah, to the person.
Okay, thank you. It just, given that we're talking about technology there's it would be great if people could give Emma a bit of an idea about your type of role. So there's a little app called, well, it's also, if you go to your browser, if you go to menti.com. So I'm just going to show it to you here. See, no, it hasn't come up. So if you go into menti.com and put in, there's a password 249215. So that's menti.com, and then if you put in 249215, there are just two questions. One is just asking, are you a person in a caring role or a health and social care professional, person living with dementia? So if you just tick, and then there are other topics, just to give an idea of the types of areas that you're interested in. If you could do that, we'll then pass that on to Emma. And that Q&A section at the bottom, if you click type a question, the question will go straight to Emma as well. Now, we have some questions, but if anybody else would like to send in a question, you can make it anonymous if you wish. So Emma, another question here about social distancing. So at the moment, given that there's social distancing, do you have any recommendations about what people should be mindful of when carrying out an activity with, either in the person's own home or in a care centre?
Oh, yeah, there is a challenge to that for sure, especially if you are a support worker going into a home or the person is coming into a centre and when those reopen. Bar the fact that you'll have to use the recommended advice, which is the distance. Yeah, it's I suppose the equipment, if we're looking at people that are going to, I suppose, have other people coming in after and using the same equipment, then it's about making sure that it is can be cleaned down, if that's the type of thing. But maintaining distance in the engagement, so if you're not already living in the house with the person, yeah, then you'll just have to abide by those recommendations. But there's nothing that you can say over that, really, if that's the guidance, that it is 2 meters or that it is the mask, which is a challenge, I know, for many people actually. But I was in a home recently, and it really it didn't help the engagement, me wearing a mask. You couldn't see my response, and that was really important for the person, to put them at ease. So if you can maintain the 2 meters distance, then I believe the mask doesn't have to be worn. So that would definitely be, I guess, better than having the mask on and being right close to the person. So I would just look at the recommendations for the area and the guidance. Everyone is making their own kind of policy based on the recommendations and based on their settings, the size of it, can they afford space? So it's unique to each service then.
Okay, thank you. We have another question here. Can you suggest a suitable tablet for people with dementia?
Yeah, there is this new tablet that I'm getting. So like I said at the beginning, the Memory Technology Library is the hub really for being quick to kind of purchase the new technologies that are available and specific to people with dementia. We hope that when we get them, we have the opportunity to evaluate them through trialing them ourselves, and then hopefully maybe to a family, to a person with dementia, so that we can get the real user feedback. So there is 1 or 2 that say that they're for senior and elderly people. I can't recommend yet on them. We're hoping, one was in trial itself, and we hope to get it, I suppose, September to trial it. But from my thoughts right now is that if you go into any tablet, there is an easy mode. So once you go into settings, there is, depending on the smartphone or the tablet, if you go into settings and you either type in accessibility or you type in easy mode, it should bring you to that area. And so you can basically lessen what's on your screen. You can increase the size of the icon. You can increase the size of text and different things like that. If somebody is able to get on a tablet, I'm not sure how simple, it can't be much more simplified. If you still will have to turn something on, you still will have to open an app. Some of them will be voice control, so sometimes that can help as well, especially in a phone. Again, that's going into a communication sheet that I'm doing around practical strategies, so trialing like that voice prompting, or trialing the accessible mode, or different apps that might help on the tablet as well. But you still require some, having to turn it on and logging in. So that's still the case for many apps and tablets,
Okay, that community strategies leaflet sounds very interesting as well. If you could keep in touch with us about that. Afterwards, we'll send people 1 email, and you can, if you wish, if you'd like to get information from us in an ongoing way, you can sign up and then unsubscribe anytime if you like. But certainly on our website as well, we'll be keeping it up to date. A person has commented here that Alone supported mother with an iPad, and that's helped a lot.
Yeah, Alone, I think Alone were given, I'm not sure if that's right now, but I think in conjunction with Vodafone, and especially around the time of COVID, they were giving some tablets and some smartphones out to families to keep communication and connectivity up through, FaceTime or whatever it might be. Yeah, so they were, and I think they did a bit of work with families on setting it up. And so there's definitely some strategies you can do to support using a tablet, and it's just about sitting down always and trying to work out all the little steps that are required to open it. And sometimes it's as easy as saying, well, charging it, making sure it's got battery. Does it have connectivity? Do you have to keep connecting to it every time you open it, or does it automatically? So you're just trying to look at all little bits that might hamper you using it optimally.
Okay, thank you. Another question, can healthcare workers visit HSE memory clinics or resource centres at present?
At present, no. Everyone's individual, their service, but to my knowledge, it is still, the memory technology resource rooms are looking at ways to reopen and looking at ways to have people come back in. Some places actually had to be, the resource room had to be closed up and the room used for different reasons, for PPE training or for changing when people come in. So so each one is different. At the moment, I don't see that there are any open for appointments right now, but definitely in the next few weeks there will be. You can contact my numbers at the end and even email, and specifically what area, and I can email back, you know, the name and the number that you could ring for that resource room. But all year round, generally, it's really encouraged that healthcare workers do make appointments and come to see what's available. As well for people. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. Another person has asked, are there any good Irish-based shops to get supplies? They said that they order from the UK.
Yeah, so since the setup, when the memory technology library was on its own and when it was in its pilot stage, it was very challenging to get things in Ireland. It was always the UK, and the UK really do have fantastic resources. They've got really good AT dementia websites, and they're just far more progressive in that area. But then they're a bigger population and they have more numbers, and anyway. But now, since we created the resource rooms nationally, a lot of these typical health providers such as Murray's and Dublin's, they would provide a lot of the standard medical aids and appliances, home care medical, JS Dobbs. These are the Irish companies. So they've now, most of them have now created a dementia tab on their websites, and once you go in, you'll see dementia. You can click on that, and then you can go through things like orientation, medication reminders, activities. I would really advise, though, before looking at those things, I would try to get advice first on them. My experience really has shown that what works very well for one person won't for another. So the fact that the memory technology resource rooms has an occupational therapist who can provide advice and consider the, you know, the issues that, well, look, this person is challenged by, I don't know, sounds might cause more of an anxiety than anything else. So maybe this constant beeping might be cause anxiety. There's every product that won't suit everyone. So I would advise to have a conversation about that, or to look at the website of mine, or to ring or email if you had any queries on it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. We have a comment here from a person who's a healthcare assistant and a SONUS program practitioner who hadn't heard about the resource rooms before. So thank you, Emma, for that.
Great.
And the final question from an activity coordinator who is supporting people with dementia, and she said that they can't verbally communicate. So video calls with families aren't really helping that much. Do you have any suggestion on keeping contact with family other than the socially distant visitation once a week? So this is a care centre contact.
Oh, I know, yeah. Okay, there was some talking products that I did a sheet on. I think that's in the resource hub as well. And I suppose if they can't use the communication tools like WhatsApp videoing, or if that's challenged, there was the talking products is a nice, I don't know, did you see it at all, Sinead? So there's talking tiles, or there's talking photo albums. So you can record a message per image that you put in, and that was a nice way of staying engaged. I did a sheet on that actually, just about the benefits of it, you know, things to consider about it as well. But it was something that I suppose if you had sent into your family member in a nursing home or in their own home, and they open it, and once you press play, it will, the recorded message you've left. So you might say, this is us down at the, you know, whatever it might be. So it's a bit more meaningful. But yeah, it is hard. That's kind of more the recorded versions, and that is available, and I'm happy to send that to anyone. It should be on the Resource Hub also, the Talking Products information sheet. And then of course just sending in photo albums or things to prompt, just to have some engagement opportunity. Yeah, it's very hard though at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.